Well, good morning. Thank you for watching the news now. I'm Cyria Sandlin. Thanks for joining us. If you missed us on Daybreak, we're going to get you caught up on everything you need to know. We're live right now on WTOC.com, our news app, Amazon Fire, Roku, Twitter, and Facebook. And we are going to begin with a few breaking news stories. First, we have learned a Fort Stewart soldier was killed while home on vacation in St. Croix, Virgin Islands. His body was discovered on August 28th. Private First Class Najee Jarvis was a 22-year-old tank crewman assigned to the 2nd Armored Brigade Combat Team, 3rd ID. Jarvis served in the Army for 21 months, and Fort Stewart was his first assignment. He had no operational deployments. Well, Cutter Martin, we want to get an update this morning for you on a breaking traffic story we are following and Florence, but first we want to start with the traffic update.
Yeah, good morning, Saria. Outside with the WTOC Jamie Casino traffic tracker. We are in Bryan County this morning, 280 just north of I-16. So if you go 16, take that road 280 up to Highway 80 near Blythton. That's the area that we're talking about here. Both lanes, directions of travel closed at 280. Again, 280 completely closed right now after a fatal crash that happened within the past hour. It's under investigation. Emergency crews and the wrecker still on scene. So not only are there a lot of emergency vehicles present and personnel, but the road is closed to traffic both directions right now. On the maps, though, just want to clarify, 16 is unaffected by this. This is simply the parkway going from 16 up towards Blythton 80. But because people can't take the road 280, it is going to be a little bit more congested than normal, especially eastbound on 80 in Blythton. Perhaps a little bit more of a delay passing Meldrum and into Bloomingdale as well in West Chatham. But 16 travel east and westbound is unaffected in northern Bryan County. As we find out more, we'll pass along the details, WTOC.com and in the WTOC News app today. Now shifting gears, the latest on Hurricane Florence Category 2, and now within the range of radar. You know it's getting close to the United States when our First Alert Radar Network can detect not only the outer bands, but also that center of circulation there, a pseudo eye wall, the worst conditions right there, pushing generally north and westward towards the North Carolina coast this morning, and it's going to slow its forward speed. In fact, in an 8 o'clock update from the National Hurricane Center now noting that still moving to the northwest relatively quickly, but a little bit slower than earlier. Moving northwest at 12 miles per hour, earlier 15 miles per hour. Pressure 28.23 inches, sustained winds 110, technically a high in Category 2, and still forecast to move off to the north and west and then dramatically slow. Here we are 2 a.m. tomorrow morning, still forecast to be just off the coast. Obviously, it could be anywhere in this general area, but you get the idea of the slow motion between 2 a.m. and 2 p.m. either side of Wilmington. Saturday morning, 2 a.m., weakening very quickly and pushing through the state of South Carolina. Now, the thing to remember here is the structure of this storm is going to change a little bit as it moves off to the west. It's going to be dominant on its northern side. So center and points north, going to see the worst conditions. Further to the south, a little bit less rain, a little bit less wind. So the track of the center of circulation is certainly extremely important. And if it takes a more southerly course here, which some data still suggest, we could bring more direct impacts into areas especially north of I-16. A possibility, not necessarily the forecast, not the most likely occurrence. We think it's basically going to go through the state of South Carolina. It will bring some gusty winds into our area and the possibility of some heavy rain bands. So breaking down the impacts locally as it stands now, gusts to 40 miles per hour, we can pretty much bet on that, especially north of I-16. Gusts to 60 miles per hour, severe damaging wind gusts, a pretty low risk of that at the moment. Risk of heavy rain causing flooding, low. In fact, some places, especially south of the Altamaha, may remain mostly dry. Tidal flooding not expected either. We'll have a primarily offshore wind as it stands now. Not a huge water level rise here locally. Further up the coast, though, that will increase. So that's the latest outlook as far as Florence is concerned. Reminder, that is later Saturday into Sunday. This morning, it is mighty fine outside. Temperatures in the 70s, partly cloudy, and no real weather issues. In fact, today, tomorrow, it's going to be breezy to windy, especially at the beaches, but mostly dry and pretty decent for outdoor activities aside from stepping in the water at the beaches. Saria.
All right, thank you very much, Cutter. I see a lot of you are joining us already this morning. We've already got about 100 comments, so I appreciate you tuning in live. Lots of questions already. We're going to answer them at the end of this digital newscast, so keep asking them, and Cutter and I will take a few moments to answer any ones we can. Well, no evacuations have been ordered for Chatham County at this time, but we're urging everyone to be prepared, and local officials are doing what they can to make that preparation easier. If you're planning on heading to the beach today, tomorrow, or even this weekend, you may need to find some alternate plans. Zach Logan joining us now live from Tybee to talk about what they're doing. You know, Zach, what is interesting to me is that a lot of people are even evacuating from the Carolinas to Tybee Island, but they need to have their guard up there as well.
Yeah, Saria, that's right. And the city of Tybee Island is really trying to make sure that it keeps its residents safe, as well as its regular visitors, and even those evacuees that have escaped Hurricane Florence's path near North and South Carolina and have actually decided to come down here to try to escape the storm. So a lot of people are down here on the island at this time. There are no evacuations right now. The city manager of Tybee Island tells me that he is checking in with the Chatham Emergency Management Agency to see if there is any change in the path of Hurricane Florence. But at this time, it looks like we will be okay here on the island. But as we know, these storms can be unpredictable, so we are trying to keep everyone safe out here on the island. They say right now they are just making sure that people have some kind of game plan just in case they do have to evacuate here off of the island. But right now, no mandatory evacuations at this time. However, officials with SEMA say if you feel like it is in your best safety to go ahead and remove yourself from the island, then you may want to go ahead and decide to evacuate now. Now, the beach conditions here are not the best. Although it is sunny this morning and it is looking like a great beach day, the water conditions are very dangerous. That's why they are actually flying double red flags. Double red flags means that they are extremely dangerous water conditions, whether it be the rip currents or the surf. So they are asking people to stay away from the waters. There was actually a surfer out here this morning trying to take advantage of the waves brought to us by Hurricane Florence, but city leaders say that is not the best idea. You need to go ahead and stay away from the water because these conditions can be very dangerous. So just make sure that if you do come out to the beach, whether it be today, tomorrow, or this weekend, because it is sunny and we are not seeing any impacts from Hurricane Florence, make sure that you stay away from the water. Of course, we're going to continue to check in with city officials here on Tybee Island. They are meeting several times a day to discuss Hurricane Florence. If we get any updates, we'll be sure to provide them to you both on air and online. Reporting live on Tybee Island, Zach Logan, WTOC News.
Also, Savannah-Chatham County Public Schools announced schools will be closed tomorrow due to Hurricane Florence. Staff is not required to report to work on Friday unless otherwise notified. Today is a regular school day, but all after-school activities and athletic competitions are canceled until further notice. That includes football games tomorrow night. The YMCA's primetime program will operate today until 6 p.m. In the Lowcountry, Beaufort, Jasper, and Colleton County Public Schools remain closed for the rest of the week, and Hampton County School District 1 and 2 schools will be closed starting today. We have a list of all of those closures scrolling right now at the bottom of your screen. You can find the list also on our website, WTOC.com, and our free news app. We will be updating this list as those closures come in. Well, the city of Beaufort says its Citizen Sandbag Station has been restocked and will be opening this morning at 9 in about 45 minutes until the supplies are gone. This is your last chance to get sandbags at the station, which is located on Southside Park. And don't forget, WTOC has everything you need to track Major Hurricane Florence on our website and mobile apps. Just click on the Hurricane Center on WTOC.com or visit the Hurricane Resources page on our news app. You can also get up-to-the-minute forecasts from our First Alert weather team, including regular videos on our weather app. Well, the Savannah Philharmonic announced the theme for this year's Picnic in the Park. It is Illuminate the Night. The 10th annual Picnic in the Park in historic Forsyth Park is set for Sunday, October 7th. Several local musicians will take the stage, of course, including the Savannah Philharmonic, led by artistic director and conductor Peter Shannon. Just like in years past, judges will walk around finding the best picnic and those best showcasing the theme. Organizers expect the largest turnout to date.
The mission of why we do it is, again, it's just a family-friendly day to celebrate the camaraderie of our community. And we are, as Peter said, we're a live orchestra, and that's what we do. We give music, the gift of music.
That was Executive Director of the Savannah Philharmonic, Terry O'Neill. Picnic in the Park is free to the public. It is scheduled to last from 3 to 9 p.m., and we are a proud sponsor of the event. So we have a few minutes right now. We're going to go back over a lot of the questions you have on Facebook. First, a lot of you missed the top of our digital newscast wondering what happened with the Fort Stewart soldier. So I want to let you know this is all from Fort Stewart. This is what we have been officially told. That soldier was killed while at home on vacation in St. Croix, the Virgin Islands. He was 22-year-old Private First Class Najee Jarvis, assigned to the 2nd Armored Brigade Combat Team 3rd ID. That is all we know at this point. They are working with the police in the Virgin Islands to investigate what exactly happened. So that is all we can tell you at this time about this. Also, a lot of you guys asking questions. I want to reiterate, no evacuation in place for any county in our area. That includes the Coastal Empire, Chatham County, Bullitt County, Bryan County, all of those counties here in Georgia. And then in the Low Country, remember, Governor McMaster took back that evacuation order, so there is no evacuation order in place for Beaufort, Jasper counties. So just keep that in mind. Let's see, what else is everyone saying? Will the governor speak this morning to say what's going on? We're not sure yet, but of course, if he does, we will carry that information live to you. Will they call an evacuation? We do not know that at this point, but of course, if they do, we will let you know. Wilmington Island going to get flooding. That is always a possibility with the amount of rain we get. Cutter.
We should probably step in. I can break it down for you more specifically. You know, this is a very complex situation. If you missed the weather update at the top, folks asked about impacts for their specific neighborhood, their area, and I can kind of break it down behind me here. Wind gusts of 40 miles per hour, again, especially north of I-16 and across the Low Country. That's enough to bring down some small limbs, knock out some power in isolated areas. But as far as severe wind gusts, heavy rain causing flooding and tidal coastal flooding, the risk of all of that remains low. There is still the lower chance, opportunity, not the most likely scenario here, but it takes a more southerly dive as it skirts the coast, and we may have to up some of these a little bit, but still looking unlikely that we're going to have any sort of direct or disastrous or especially damaging impact. That was a possibility yesterday, still technically there, but remember, what some data is indicating isn't necessarily the forecast. We have to look at the entire picture, and certainly trends were not even more alarming overnight. If anything, they kind of leveled out, and overall pretty much the same. So remember, if you're south of the Altamaha, you're going to be on the lower end of these impacts. If you're in the Low Country, again, this is pretty relative to the Savannah River area, the Low Country, but the further away from South Carolina you go, the less likely you are to feel very many impacts, definitely not substantial impacts from Florence. Now, I do want to go back. I'm just going to click this back here. Here we are. This is radar. We are now within radar site from Wilmington Island, or Wilmington, North Carolina, the Morehead City radar site, very well-defined center of circulation. And going back one more step further, we're looking at the track here, and we actually have a Category 2 hurricane this morning. Again, if you are just joining us, an update here, Category 2 sustained winds 110. This is the track from the National Hurricane Center. We're going to stick with this because they're the National Hurricane Center, an entire team of very skilled meteorologists putting this together. And yes, technically, some data still does indicate that more of that southward jog, but a big time land influence as it does so, regardless of what the cone indicates here. It is going to slow dramatically. We knew that was going to happen as it approaches North Carolina, and it will most likely move through South Carolina, and the structure of the storm will change. Not being talked about as much, but it will change as it impacts land, and we get a little bit of southerly wind shear kicking in, pushing the worst impacts from the storm, regardless of what category it is, to the central track and on the north side of the system. So being on the south side here isn't necessarily a bad position for us. We'll have to watch it. Updates to the forecast are possible, but that's kind of the latest as of this morning. And of course, we'll have even more clarification today and into tomorrow morning.
Perfect. Well, I'm getting some more questions about certain school districts. I want to address those really quickly. Tattnall County Schools, we have not heard any updates about whether they're going to be canceling. Liberty County Schools, I just read this on the Liberty County School System Facebook page. There continues to be a great deal of uncertainty with regards to the path of Hurricane Florence. The school system anticipates making a decision with regards to any schedule changes or closures by 10 a.m. Thursday. So that's today. So in about an hour and a half, we're going to find out if Liberty will cancel. And we have a specific website that has all of this information on it. It's on WTOC.com, and we have a page dedicated to it. It's also at the bottom of our screen on our ticker that's going during the newscasts. So we're going to keep that updated. We're getting constant emails with school closures, public schools, private schools. So we're going to keep you informed about all of those schools. Something that I thought was really interesting, Cutter, a question that somebody asked, they said, is it true that there are 4 named storms out in the Atlantic Ocean right now?
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty impressive. And you said if we get one more, is that
the most at one time named storms that is within the satellite area, you know, easily documented history. And I can kind of show you that here because we're already getting questions as I step out of the shot. Just bear with me a little bit about the future of Isaac. Again, that is down in the Caribbean, or about to be. And I'm going to zoom out, talk about these right now. And here we have Helene. We have Joyce up here, very disorganized. Of course, Florence, and this is an invest, or an area of disturbed weather that has the potential to become Kirk. And this is what remains of Isaac, barely hanging on there. So Isaac, Helene, Joyce, Florence could be Kirk. So, you know, if we have 5 named storms, definitely that would be fairly impressive. And within satellite history, easily documented, you know, could be the first time there. And we'll have to see if that takes place. Regardless, 4 is extremely busy, record or not. In Isaac's history or future is uncertainty, is full of uncertainty. We're headed into the Caribbean here. We're pretty certain of there. Will it be ripped apart by wind shear? That's a question, and depending on strength, that's going to influence track. So bottom line, there's a wide range of options here, from being buried into Mexico as a weakening, or Central America as a weakening system, perhaps surviving the Caribbean, making it into the Gulf, we'll have to watch it there, or being drawn northward into the southwestern Atlantic. So a whole host of options on the table, and we have plenty of time to watch it through the weekend, early next week, and we will be updating you on that system as well.
Awesome. And just another reminder, please keep refreshing that page with the school closings, because we are keeping you updated on any new cancellations or closings that we get. And if you want to ask any more questions, just leave us a comment. We'll type back to you as soon as we can. Thank you for trusting us and staying with us. I know this has been such a crazy situation, tracking this storm and keeping everyone up to date. So we appreciate you joining in and asking us questions. That's what we're here for. We'll be back in a couple of hours with another update at 10 a.m. Thank you for watching The News Now. Have a great day, everyone.